Hello, folks, and welcome to the third game between Flipside and Vega Squadron. Not even for those of us who aren't super used to the change up yet. But let's see what they've got for us today. I'm Llama Down Under. I'm joined by MotPax. We have a disruptive ban out. I like that.
Yeah, good hero, Don't want to be given over to and they have the second pick, right? So much more likely that you're going to get it for the side of Vega, and can't really disagree with banning out that lone druid. One of the major factors in that first game win, allowing them to chase down, burn up those towers. And of course, the throne right at the end there, just BKB, nothing they could do. So, eliminate that, and I can imagine maybe the IO ban out here from Vega Squadron, potentially the Beastmaster if they feel like it would be that good for Flipside after the last game. Doom hasn't had a big showing. I don't even know if you really need to ban that one out.
I feel like the Doom has not been nearly as impactful as Flipside would want. I think, though, for Flipside, giving them the Beastmaster could be a big mistake. We saw how effective they were with their push draft early on. Giving them it again could be a problem, but Vega do not want to deal with Doom. They don't want to build mass Lincolns.
Yeah, they have the 1-2, and without the IO band out, it's so good. Like in the two immediate picks for Vega, they can get like what's left in the pool. I mean, Winter Wyvern's still there, so if they go Beastmaster, you could go Winter Wyvern IO. So not only do you take away one of the biggest counters to IO, you get a big counter to the Beastmaster, big counter to push strats in general. The Disruptor's already been banned out. Give it to me. I don't know if do they even pick Winter. They'll probably put all right Witch Doctor instead. I'll go with Witch Doctor. Same thing. IO Witch Doctor. Give me that. I'm leaving. This is done. I'm just gonna go get my lunch. You can take care of the rest of the draft.
Solo's IO is one of the best. Oh yeah, it's lunchtime for you, isn't it? 4 hours ahead. Solo's IO is one of the best in Europe. Obviously, with the current meta, it's really hard to have space for an IO ban, but giving it up to Vega always just seems like a super risky play. They pair it up with the Darkseer. That's the cover. So the other side can get the Witch Doctor.
Oh, I lost. Alright. I'm disappointed. Maybe it's the fact that you're not too worried about getting the Witch Doctor that early. Like, what are the chances they ban out both Oracle and Witch Doctor? Not too much concern there, so... The other thing is that Witch Doctor doesn't pair up that well with the Darkseer anyway, and they wanted a Mag hero because they're all just going to get banned out in the second phase. So I can understand taking that. And, well, we're back to some push here from Flipside. Uh-oh, Beastmaster Jakiro. I think I know what they're up to this game. But having the IO, like, this is why I liked opening with it in the first place, because in the early stages, like, yes, if they get the crazy push, you're screwed, right? IO definitely needs that 6 to be effective, but if you can just hold them back a little bit and not let them get those towers, you can imagine that once that 6 comes online, these are going to be some weaker individual heroes that still want to get a little bit of earlier farm themselves. They can't just straight up group up as 5 at, like, 8 minutes. They need some time.
Yeah,
Radiant team ban.
For Flipside, I do like this. It's going back to the first game. Unfortunately, I think it's very difficult against the IO. It used to be that you had like a bunch of time because you'd be like, oh, IO, how are you going to get that level 6? With the Tome of Knowledge, with the fact that IO can just force the stacks to be done super early. These days, it could be really easy for Vega to get that relocate up early and then, relocate on the back. Or just even a single pick-off can stop Flipside from grouping up and being able to be effective pushers. So, rough.
Yeah, and with the push draft, we kind of saw it before, they don't have a lot of kill potential. So let's say that they head into like a bristleback with the IO. What are you going to do? Like, all your damage is kind of this overtime, and mostly it's just tower sieging if they're going to be working back into the same sort of an idea with this Jakiro and the liquid fire and everything. So I could see the bristle causing some serious problems here, given the Iron Shell as well. Vega Squadron traditionally, though, they've done things like the Legion Commander, they've done the Slark. They're not really one for that kind of a strategy where it's like the straight-up combination. They're much more just like, Io's a really good hero, and we like giving the sustain, but we're more about this attack damage to boost onto someone like that Wraith King that you'd pointed out earlier today is something they've been picking up quite a bit. Don't like it too much against Jakiro and Beastmaster, though, because you don't want a BKB, and then your attack slow is going to be brutal from Liquid Fire as well as the Boars.
This is going to be... Ugh. It's gonna be interesting either way. We do see the Tinker ban out. Vega, really interested in that one. It seems like Vega do not want to have to deal with all the March of the Machine spam that may come down. Not expecting another Jakiro mid, and for Flipside, it's wide open. It's also nice, the Jakiro a little into the IO.
5 seconds
Anyway,
remaining.
let's get back into it, see what they're going to pick up. It's the DK. Vega bringing some push of their own.
Radiant team pick.
Yeah, this Io Dragonite is something we've been seeing come out. It's brutal. If this was like newbie, they would still probably go back for something like the Io Bristle because they're on the dire side, and then you just draft these like 3 really difficult cores to go with. Try and actually do anything against. You can just go like Io Bristle. You can even go for like a Greedio 4 position and run the solo Safe Lane Darkseer. But the more likely thing is that the Darkseer, of course, for Mag will just be heading into offlane. You'll have the Io and the Dragonite mid, and we're still left with a position 1 and a position 5. But this will help it with their own early game, a little bit of push for themselves. And what do you want to look towards from Flipside? The damage reduction from the Breathe Fire is very annoying for a lot of mid heroes. So potentially it could just be that Jakiro mid again, and still keeping their options open though.
Clearly Timbersaw.
Yeah, that's true. Not a bad hero.
I would
more
be...
push.
Yeah, I would be totally
Like
down
it.
with the Timbersaw, but as you mentioned, it doesn't super contribute to their push. I really like it though, against stuff like the Eye of the Doxy, the DK, but we'll have to see. They could also do, we saw one team pull out the Sand King versus the DK mid. Again, not the most direct line of pushing, but of course, if you can get a lot of farm on that Sand King, get up the Ags, suddenly you're doing good business onto them in their back lines while your team pushes the tower.
Reserve time.
Yeah. So if I'm Vega Squadron right now, I'm assuming that it's going to be a Lycan only because they opened up with this Dazzle, and that's like not only great for pushing and the sustain, but it combos up really well in a lot of ways with Lycan and what he wants to bring. And so I'm just going to counterpick it. Okay, that's one strategy to go for. It's like I don't want to give them Lycan, Dazzle, Jakiro, and Beastmaster. Take it for myself. That's actually hilarious. Now what if Flipside going to do? Pick Naga or something? Try and keep the same idea. They might go Alchemist. Hell, they might go Huskar.
I mean,
That hero's making a bit of a comeback.
Sven's still in the pool. They can try to go for that. It's rough because now you're getting tanky into tanky, but you're not wrong.
Reserve time.
I think that for Vega, it's also really nice for them to get the Lycan because now they also have more push, and it's something they're very comfortable with. It's a hero they pick up quite a bit.
Well, flip side, they've got some issues here. They've got Aurora to lead off. They've got the follow-up Sun from the Ice Path, potentially, if he skills it up early, which he did last game. He hit it by level 7, which is not something that we typically do see. But what I kind of like the idea of the Sven, just for some additional control. The other potential thing is they've already taken out the Juggernaut, so you don't have someone who can just like immediately escape from something like the IO Relocate, where he might be building a Blink, or he just goes for the Spin TP. And it will be the Huskar.
Oh, this is now all over the place, though. This is a bit... I don't know, I worry about Flipside's draft a little. Obviously, there's the Dazzle Huskar synergy, but you're still dealing with a DK who's incredibly tanky. You're dealing with a Lycan who might just run away.
10 seconds remaining.
Yeah, that's the thing, because they're trading out the lockdown for just all of this damage. So whatever they get last, I might even ban out a Faceless Void and assume that it would be like Jakiro made 4-position Beastmaster, because they need lockdown so heavily. I actually think that would be a good ban here from Vega.
Yeah, I just really worry for Flipside side how they're actually going to pound into people, but we'll see in a second. There's on Vega for kiteability of that Huskar, depending on how DK itemizes as well. They've got some good stuff. DK can naturally go into a Silver Edge, or also has in that dragon form some good ways of dealing with the Huskar.
Well, that should be the Timbersaw that you were mentioning there, so knowing how tanky they are, don't want to handle that. It would just like mean no control though.
Yeah, I would be a little, as you said, a little surprised for lack of control, but then you just have these team fights where you're just throwing business at them, you know?
Yeah, and that was their strategy game 1, right? They didn't have any control. They've already made that very clear. They're not a big fan of AoE control. They're like, nah, it's fine. Just deal with us. We're going to kill your buildings. Vega Squadron's looking so scary now, though. I mean, the AA ban. Can't blame them for that one. Huskar and potentially even like a... they could go a mid-hero, right? Because they've done the offlane Jakiro. It still gets decent levels heading into it. Could just go for the offlane Beastmaster, too. Their lanes are just all over the place right now. But if they want to go for something like the Alchemist, because they're like, you have nothing to deal with armlets, they could. But we saw how heavily they got punished last time by Vega Squadron, although the rotations will be a lot later with an IO.
So, finally getting into it. For Flipside, let's see what meta they go for. They might just surprise us and just be like, okay, we were lacking controllers. Let's pick up Puck or maybe Quap. Just something that Team My Wild really enjoys playing. I wouldn't be surprised. It's just problematic because a lot of things do poorly against the DK.
Yeah, it's unlikely you're gonna be able to win that lane, and unless you go like Viper mech. Still not a lot of control. No mobility to escape from an IO gank. Yeah, you'll take longer to kill, but in the end, you'll more than likely still go down.
Burning through that reserve time. Flipsides want to get their business. Oh, it's the Alchemist.
Vega
Yeah.
squad.
I'm not sold.
I can agree. The thing is, they really don't have that early rotation. They have no way to come in and deal with them like they did last game. And I don't know what hero you could pick that would even provide that, really.
10 seconds remaining.
I'm just I obviously last game could have been an
5
outlier
seconds
in the
remaining.
performance, but it felt like it was so effective for them to shut down the Alchemist. The DK can just trade with the Breathe
Reserve
Fire. Yeah, we'll just have to see. I don't know what's the play here for Flipsides. I'm expecting though that at least this game, Dazzle can always rotate it and throw out the Shallow Grave if something does go south in that mid lane.
Yeah. I'd like to see maybe just a Winter Wyvern here. A little bit of AoE counter initiation, decent up against the Beastmaster, the early push. The only thing is they could be looking for something a little bit more defensive, like how do you deal with the Huskar? The Burning Spirits is so frustrating. Like maybe even into something like an Oracle or an Omni Knight could be warranted potentially too. Some sort of a 5 roll though. You're not going to be getting any farm on whatever hero this is.
10 seconds.
I'm a little
remaining.
surprised they're not going to go for something like the Lion, just because even though Lion
5
does look for the
seconds
Blink,
remaining.
it's something they can do really well with. Nope, they go for the Wyvern, like you mentioned, going
I'm
hard.
actually
hard
the
fire.
best. You guys, fuck you all, Twitch chat. Just kidding, I love you. But Valve, please, events. I can be on a panel. It's okay, guys. This is my audition tape. That's 5 straight hero picks. In case you guys weren't paying attention, actually it was 6. I called the DK too. So, Valve, hello, hi. That would be great. Invite me to some lands. Shout out to me. I'm the best. That's myself.
As we do on the outros, MotPax
yes,
doesn't need feedback on
please.
improving. I do, so you know. But as we can see, MotPax knows when it comes to hero drafts. You're often right. That's why I usually leave most of the draft to you. The only thing I would have gotten here is the Lycan, but that's because Vegas picked it like a bunch.
That's
this
true.
pack.
It was such a good like block pick too at the same time.
Yeah,
It's a good hero.
nice little nuances there. That's also always the other thing,
10
right?
seconds
At this
remaining.
higher level, they're not just worried about, hey, what's a good pick for our team? They're looking to shut
5
something down,
seconds
maybe
remaining.
worried about the out coming out later, maybe not. So. But we'll have to get into it and see how they can do. We've got the obligatory pause, because them's the rules. We headed into it. Or not. Looking around. We don't have any good effigies, I believe, between these two. Oh, no, we do! Have you seen this effigy? MotPax?
No.
Okay.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
I did.
I think I show everyone.
That's last time.
It's
This
like
is-
so funky. I think it's either Disruptor's mounts, back legs twice, and then Tiny. And then I don't know what the
Abaddon
sword
hood
is.
though.
Yeah,
That's an
it is,
Abaddon
but
hood and cape.
those legs don't look like Abaddon's horse. Like, look.
No, it's the it's one of the mounts. I have that mount actually.
okay.
I think. But you're right. There's a weird tail. Okay, this thing is just.
Right? That's
Really
not.
tripping.
I think it's Abaddon's cape, Disruptor's mount twice, because there's another set of legs that pops out at the bottom. Abaddon's sword, and then Tiny's arm, what I hope is an arm, and the Ags
The
of
Dryad, the immortal.
So I'm just saying, I love this effigy. I do not know what happened here for Shocklow. I can't believe it only has one command. When you guys play up against him in games, I need you to commend this thing, because it is a monstrosity. Yeah, and it looks like we're ready to go. So, getting back into it, instead of being in a hero review. We will see Sidoy playing up on that Huskar Metrum on the Dazzle. Tama Wild on the Alk, hoping to get a better roll, better time this game. Bonsko on the Jakiro, and last but not least, Shocklow on the Beastmaster. Hopefully, I probably doubled that one. Oh well. Let's go. Vega for you, MotPax.
Well, on the side of Vega, they are going to be having the decks here played by Meg, another one of his signature heroes. It's going to be FN on the mid Dragon Knight. It'll be Solo on his famed Io. Sam with the Slayer on the Winter Wyvern. Going to be kind of hanging out with the Lycan 5 top, and then no one on the Lycan. So a little bit of a mix-up as FN going on to the Dragon, but of course, as mentioned, they have been doing that quite a bit lately.
I'm very unsure. I think it's a good thing actually to be flexible. It just feels like it expands the hero pool that your opponents need to ban against. It's a little bit of just tricking them around because now you're thinking, oh, what if they do run like dual mid, like an IO, or is it the DK mid? So I think it's really nice to actually have your players swap around. I just wonder how sustainable it is as the game, as Dota 2 continues to be a game, because there is so many small mechanics where it's like, okay, Dendi having 5 million games on mid actually gives him the edge over Miracle's mid or something, you know?
Yeah, that's understandable. Like, it all just comes down to how many times you've faced situations in a lot of pro games, right? Like, how many times you've done your pubs and stuff, and that's why we've just seen so many teams even putting a lot of stock into actually spamming pubs versus scrimming. Like, you're going to do both, but pubs have become just so crucial, I would say. Like, a lot of pros even talk about it, where the whole idea is that you've been playing through so many pubs that we all know how Dota's like a different game every time, and every time you're learning these new situations, and then when that situation does occur in your game, you'll know how to deal with it.
Yeah, and it's very much the whole 10,000 hours to master something. If you get those 10,000 hours out faster, you're gonna have a good time. You're gonna be stronger. It is just gonna be FN in the mid lane, has the IO there, so they're gonna give this Alchemist hell. Have fun, Tame My Wild. We'll go check back in on that later. Right now we got Mag at the bottom lane just trying to get some experience, but can't even get in range. This lane is terrifying.
Yeah, especially, I mean, you got the rune, right? So you want the the bounty early on, the Grievous Greed, but no acid spray quite yet. He's gonna need some assistance coming in here, but they haven't really drafted for it. You're imagining the Alchemist spending, or the Dazzle spending some time down bottom first just to make sure his Mag's zoned out, but once he rotates mid, then Mag can just kind of come back down here and chill near the Huskar until he has too many levels, and then you just have to leave the lane completely.
Otherwise you get dunked, and then you're dead. But meanwhile, up in top lane, they are running a bit of a dual lane. It's interesting. I feel like this is meant to be some sort of hell lane, since the Beastmaster plus the Jakiro would normally be a real pain on paper, but they're having so much trouble getting near the creep wave.
Tell me about, he's still living. That's kind of interesting that he didn't go for the early... Okay, that is really weird. So...
Yeah, we have unstable concoction. Break it down.
He must be going Medallion. Well, what would be the play here?
Maybe he's worried about the IO tethering over
That's
him,
all I can
you know?
imagine, too. That's the only thing that's, like, giving me, like, some sort of hope towards this, but I don't even know, because I picture, like, the tether coming in, it doesn't really matter once you've clicked it. Like, it's FN stun, walks the other side into the tether. At that point, Concoction... I don't even think it would be enough to save you.
Especially not unless you've been channeling it for a while, right? And you get the long stun out. I'm not sure that the early... Oh, someone's coming towards me. Let me pop this and throw it. But we'll see. That could be the play. It could be a misclick. These things do happen still at this level. Or it could just be that Tame My Wild is planning to get aggressive on the DK. Who knows? It
Yeah,
could be,
a little bit of a safety measure, I think. Just if it's going to be enough to save you, like after last game, maybe he's thinking, okay, were there situations where Concoction could have helped me have a better start, and I could have had these earlier levels? Like, what am I really going to lose out on one less point into my Acid Spray or one less point into my Grievous Greed if it means I survive even just once or twice?
And obviously for Tame My Wild, as we saw last game, surviving, those 4 early ganks may have just been what turned the game around. We have Dual Breath coming out. Jakiro just gonna go for the TP away. They will not have enough damage. What a nice play there. We've been seeing more and more of this coming out.
Well, this is perfect for Tame My Wild. Like, the fact they've done this Jakiro as well as the Shashlo up top on the Beastmaster. And they still haven't died, which is pretty great too, but what it's done is it's drawn solo up here. He's trying to get his experience up here. He's got the bottle up here, and that means there's no help to this DK. And yeah, Dragon Knight's fine in the mid lane, but I think we were both a little bit worried about constant IO plus DK zoning out Tame My Wild like the last time on the Alchemist, and that's just not going to be the case this time.
I think it's the opposite of what we talked about in the draft. We were expecting a mid to kind of pull the attention away from Sidoi to make sure that there would not be a scary tri-lane. We are actually going to see Sharklo get one more auto attack pounded into him. And that's our first blood. No one getting that one. But I think it's the opposite, right? It's, hey, let's make sure that you have to expend a lot of resources on this top lane so Tame My Wild and Sidoi get farm, which is really well done.
Yeah, it's going well from so far, and so Sodoi totally fine, as he has now made that full rotation. Nice little stun to secure the bounty rune for FN.
Dire's middle
Oh,
Big
but
deal.
it might not be good for Solo. The paralyzing cask, unstable concoction, not gonna be able to save the day. But that, I think, what we were talking about, maybe planning to be a little bit aggressive early on.
That was so close. That is, like, infinitely frustrating, but he actually gets the kill with the poison touch.
Oh,
Level 1. I know,
Well
it
done.
never used to do damage, which is pretty huge.
things when you're not expecting it. Oh well. Well, we will see up top lane that Jakiro is back, has the dual breath. The Dazzle tries to throw out a heal bomb, not quite enough, but here they go. This should easily be the Wyvern. Goodbye, Sioma. And Flipside get themselves up to a nice little 2-0. 2-1.
All the meanwhile, Sodoi as well, just having a fantastic time, gonna head right into that armlet. Shockingly buying boots first. This guy is not a fan of South American Dota, clearly. Brown boots before armlet? Like, what? What is this? It's okay, though.
We saw it in the Weaver game too, where
That's
Sodoi
true,
actually
yeah.
bought boots. So what we're joking about here, guys, is like a lot of games, the Huskar and the Weaver just never get shoes. Pavo still do this. It's actually quite stressful. So, we'll
Right,
see.
man. Look how deep FN is here.
Yeah,
Just doesn't even care.
FN's deep and also up on top. They are trying to get the kill onto Shocklow. A nice lost second. That shallow grave, he waited so long. Just managed to save his life.
Okay, so mid lane's turned into like the opposite of what one might expect when it comes to this Dragonite plus IO combo that we've seen a couple teams run. It's going to be a 2v1 going in the favor of Flipside, opening up a little bit of space, but once again, that has left Shosh a little bit, you know, underfarmed, a little bit underwhelming up here. He's done great for the 22 last hits, definitely can't complain about that, but over the next little while, you're not expecting too much. Like, if you're going to have two supports up here, there should be some pulls going off to try and establish a little bit more control, and they're actually just going to keep rotating and securing these runes, so that has been a pretty big part as to why they haven't been able to establish that lane control you might expect. Just guaranteeing that Solo always has mana to dish out.
At the same time, no one's still farming pretty well. It's not, obviously not as great as the Huskar, but because he's got the kill involvement, he's actually doing a bit better when it comes to net worth.
Dire's
So,
bottom tower is
while
under
they're forcing the
attack.
supports to be up there, I don't think they're hurting no one's chances of farm as much as they'd like. Although, at least this time, we are going to see Tame My Wild begin to pull ahead.
Well, this will certainly be a better game than last time. Like,
I mean,
what was
I-
it? 14, I think?
I think he
the
was
armor?
already up at 2 or 3 deaths at the 6-minute mark, and yeah,
Yeah.
it was not great. They're giving it a go onto no one. He's gonna immediately just throw out that transformation, and that's what we talked about. You can just run away from everything coming out of Flipside. Or the rest of them. They're actually doing a little bit of push, and the IO's going to come back up, so Tri-Lane has resumed. The Doxy is thinking about coming over. He does have wall, but no points in vacuum.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
He's gone for the, the 2 into the surge, so... Pretty standard stuff at this point, and just totally zoned out of the lane, so Mag is a little bit further behind. Darkseer, not the best hero when it comes to straight up jungle. And the other thing is that half the reason you pick Darkseer is to try and put pressure on supports, right? You want them to actually have to spend time in the lane, but Huskar denies that.
Okay, we have a little bit of an engagement. Jakira should be going down here. Shallow Grave not coming out in time. And they will get themselves a quick pick with the Surges, with the Ion Shells. But at the same time, as you mentioned, because of all of this fighting, because of all the contest in lane, now no one is falling a little bit behind the Huskar. Who does more with less, though? Oh gosh, Sodoi looking for that dunk. Isn't going to be able to be in range for the life break, but will continue to poke at this tower.
I think overall, just Flipside's draft is going a lot better right now. They're not getting what they need out of Meg. It's hard to watch like this, like Disruptor, or rather Darkseer. He's such a solid hero for drawing the supports. He's now getting dunked down bottom. How many stacks is that? 2? Should be okay. Cold Embrace if he needs it.
So he's
They're
going to be
wrapping
fine.
them though.
Oh gosh, Sodoi needs a TP, of course, doesn't have one, about to take some balls to the face, gonna on the toggle, gonna go for the dunk onto Solo, he'll kill Solo there. This should be, oh no, he's dead. Yeah, there he goes, the ticks down, Sodoi gonna on the toggle again, has creeps in mid, so doesn't take any tower hits. I think they nerfed that item, but was it enough?
Dire's structures.
Without the dragon form right there was just no way of getting that first stun to lead off into the anti-armlet toggling. And meanwhile, while they chase him around bottom, Ring around the Rosie provides that free tower up top. The push is real from Flipside. They know how to run this strategy. We learned that in game number 1. And this time they're even up on kills and even up on gold, so this should go even better than previously.
Yeah, game 1, what was it, like 19 to 40 or something? Or like 11 to 40? It was very low kills on Flipside. Did manage to take all of the racks. On the upside, Vega do get the mid tower. Very little in my wild could do that.
Yeah, now Sadoy just stacking more armor, more HP regen here. And look what he's up against, right? He's dealing with a Lycan and a DK. Just so much physical damage. There's nothing that can really cut through him right now. Of course, the magic damage, not really going to have to worry about it. And being a Huskar and all, you just start stacking this armor. And going to the Helm of the Dominator, into the Satanic. They don't have that consecutive lockdown that you really look for against a Huskar where, yeah, maybe you don't have an AA, but you can just hold him in place long enough that he can't do anything. And eventually you can kill the damn guy. Not too easy this game.
Despite, oh, okay, like, look at this. No one continually has to use his transformation. He does manage to get a kill there, but there is no, well, actually, they're gonna hit 2, so that works out perfectly for them. But if they initiate onto no one, his kind of only response is just transform, run away. Works out.
Yeah, this is really good vision provided by Vega, because right now, you could say maybe they should be killing Team My Wild, alright? That could be kind of a big issue right now. I'm trying to slow him down, trying to stop him from getting to that Radiance, but they do know they can take out this other trio in the Jakiro, the Dazzle, as well as the Beastmaster. Like, they're not that scary to run into, so I wouldn't mind seeing them get some more vision around here, because you know that's where they want to play. Like, they've already done the Observers that you'd expect from that little trio. And try and take over that jungle, but they're just going to try and trade mid with their quick push.
Yeah, this will be a nice trade for Flipside, obviously getting that mid tower, but for both sides, they're going to just clear off all the tier 1s, so things will be pretty even. Team My Wild is actually playing it very close. He was super low there, just decided to run on in, pops his ult. They're going to go for it onto this poor, you cold embrace ain't going to save you, Sioma, and he will fall. They're just going to keep pounding those flaming spears into him. And they will take the tier 1. It's looking like they're trying to do some tricksy stuff onto Sadoy. Should be just fine here. Oh, I maybe spoke too soon. Hey, what are you doing in the behind there? Solo gonna take some damage. Sadoy really wants to get that life break on. But they all back on out on Flipside, and they still haven't taken the tower. So a win for Vega.
Yeah, this is just making this 5th book Alchemist look so strong. Like, 2 armlet heroes. I don't know. I feel like you needed all your attention to try and kill the Huskar in the first place, and then they're whipping out the Alchemist, and it's just not the same game. Yeah, it got dumpstered last game, but there was no rotations. There's no one who's going to be invading this jungle to do anything. You have Iron Shell Wolves coming in. This is your, like, invasion into the jungle right now. That is the extent of what you have on the side of Vega, and it's hilariously effective. I have to admit, as they chase them down.
Yeah, Team My Wild's like, I need to get under a tower. What is this crap? So, we'll have to deal, unfortunately, with the wolves, but still, they're just not quite there yet for Vega. But, on the upside, they have illusions coming out from the DK. They're about to have Dragon Form back up in another 40 seconds. They can go for the push on bottom, and of course, Dox here, after the rough early start, has the mech.
Yeah, this will give them a little bit of group up potential of their own, for sure. I'm so worried about what they're going to do for Sadoy. It's like, you picture grouping up with these towers, and it'll have to be the right clicks coming out from FN, is that it's starting to be built up. Once again, the armlet going to be providing plenty of armor there for said Huskar, and they don't really have the minus armor that you're looking at. Like, maybe they can go with the Breathe Fire to just reduce his overall damage, and that could be something they could look towards. But, of course, it's really the searing, you know, flaming lances that do the most thing, these burning spears.
Fun fact about burning spears, we'll see if we can get some on someone. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna show you guys this debuff. It's exciting. Look at this. Oh, we're not even gonna get it. Never mind. Never mind. I wanted to show you all that it says you are on fire is what the burning spears debuff reads on the hero that has been hit by them.
Oh yeah.
But it's just, and it's all in capital letters, the only one. Either way, this push looking pretty solid. They haven't quite finished the tower yet. The re-engagement's coming out of Vega. Sadoy, low on the sidelines, does have that omelet ready to toggle. I don't think they want to fight into the Dragon Knight Dragon form, but
is under attack.
Unsure, the tower
Dire's
gets
middle
denied. Sioma coming in, blowing up Sidoi. Sidoi will he be able to get the armor toggle off? There is the heal as well. Sidoi stunned up by that dragon tail and goes back in, jumps in, but vacuum back immediately. Sidoi, somebody needs to shallow grave this guy, but they're backing all the way out. I don't think Dazzle was in range yet. It's still only the level 1 shallow grave. Alk will fall. Dazzle just tries to go for the TP away, but Dragon Tail is there, and the Wolfman will kill 3 of them on the side.
Yeah, that's huge, right? That's where the push just totally collapses. No blink even required. Mag gets the big vacuum into the wall, and that's the damage that they really needed. Surprised that it was able to happen like that, but that's kind of the power of just, like, maybe overextending mid a little bit, showing all their cards, going for Sioma, and then the immediately, like, getting relocated back to the fountain, making sure he'd be there for the fight. And this is what Io has become in, like, every single game. He's no longer this tiny +1 or bristle even +1 for the majority of times where you're just relocating on top of people and fighting. It's all about the saves. It's not initiation anymore as a hero.
And obviously doing good work here, not getting the Wyvern pick-off set that entire team fight up, right? Because that's how they got Sidoi so low, and Dazzle not in position, so they are going to need to regroup on Flipside, trying to figure this out. They, of course, are falling far behind in experience after that team fight. Probably about the same amount behind in gold, and about to be more. Sidoi giving it a go onto Sioma in a lot of trouble here. The Shallow Grave should be at the ready here. They are not backing down yet. Sidoi getting low. Shallow Grave finally thrown out. But now he's thinking about turning around, but they're not quite set. Somebody needs to attack this wolf. Fortunately, they're not super sure, and that'll be the end of the engagement. Okay, doke. I lied. Io gets picked off by Shocklo.
Putting that roar to use. Finally starting to get a little bit of some pickoffs here, using all that vision they committed earlier in the game. Dropping down the sentry, they'll make sure there's nothing up on the high ground. Overall, the Dire Vision's just focusing in that mid lane for now, as well as into the Radiant side jungle. So, pretty safe spot.
Dire's
Creeps are here.
tower is under
And
attack.
push draft will go to work.
Well,
They have taken the lead though on the side of Vega, so this is going to start to potentially look a little bit like game number 1, where they were behind in net worth, but
it's
push power.
very similar. Oh, Macropire just casually dropped. There'll be the Dragon Tail onto Shocklo. He's probably going to fall here, going to try to give it the runaway. Doesn't still have stuff hitting the tower, so he will go down. And the tower's very low. The boar can't quite get it.
Dire's
There's the deny from the DK.
denied.
That's
That'll be
2
that.
straight denies too. That's huge.
On the other side, that was everybody rotating up for that tower, so Sidoi and Dazzle can maybe get some action done on bottom, and the Dragon Form was used for that. So that thing's going to be on cooldown by the time they rotate to this bottom lane.
Yeah, and the other thing is the Alchemist did survive too, so he's got his Radiance in just a moment. That'll be picked up. Here's that initiating relocate though.
They're going on from behind, trying to use the end of that Dragon Form. There's the jump, but immediately vacuum back. Sidoi not going to be even able to catch out. This Io goes down.
Yeah, nicely played, right? If you're just there paired up as the Dazzle and the Huskar and you're not hiding as the Dazzle or anything like that, they're going to snipe you out. They're going to find you, make sure you can't grave up that Huskar. So, well played again by Vega. It's totally fine, like, committing a wall to this, right? Who cares? That's it's only here to kill that Huskar over and over, so another win for Vega. So the Radiance is going to be on its way now. We'll see how much of an impact that's going to have in terms of their overall split push here.
Yeah, I do wonder if they're gonna try to go back on a split push way, because they could have Alk in one lane and Beastmaster in the other. They actually have really great split push, but it's very difficult to do that against an Io lineup. Just really lacking the flexibility that other drops have
Yeah.
to play into other drops. Sorry.
There's our Roche. 2 minutes reclaimed. Okay. See if they can get anything else quite done with that on no one. Maybe push. Do they? I mean, they don't really feel pressured, I don't think, despite it being an Alchemist draft.
I think they'd feel that they have the late game.
Yeah, I could agree with that. The Alchemist kind of falls off when you have so much physical damage. It's just like all single target right here between the stuns and then the Lycan running on top of them.
And I'm not sure if you want to play the Can My Huskar go up against a super formed Lycan and a super formed DK. That hero will just take too long for Huskar to click on through, since a lot of the damage for a long time for Husker comes from the Burning Spears. And there is another relocate coming out. They Primal Roar onto Solo. They need to pick off this Io. Still isn't dead. And now Sharkwell being blown up by his own teammates. A disaster for Flipside. They're going to try to find something. The Shallow Grave at least helps them find the Io. Zedoy trying to run it off. Toggles that omelet on. Is trying to do the old walk away. Whether it's enough will really remain to be seen. They can see him, of course, with the ward there. Mag looking for the vac back. Does manage to get it. There's the Dragon Tail. And Zedoy will be brought down.
Yeah, again, Vega just showing really good commanding like movements during these fights, right? Always focusing down the Dazzle. You're not getting this Dazzle Huskar at all. There's none of this grave shenanigans, right? Where he can just go to town throughout the entire thing. At least not in the key moments. It can be forced out early or something like that, but you're not having this dominating performance where the Dazzle's just hiding in the trees. And part of that coming down to the fact that it is a push lineup where you're running it in, like Mega grouping up all the time. So the lower levels, the shorter range here on the Grave makes it more difficult to actually achieve that because they've just been grouping up all the time.
And while that 1 point in the Poison Touch definitely resulted in an early kill, it's really, you're seeing the fact that there aren't more points in the Shallow Grave now being harmful to the Dazzle. Well, Nag is jungling, puts another Ion Shell up on one of those nice little wolves for Lycan that's gonna go scout. Probably that. Or Huskar has the Omelet, has the Sange. Do you expect Heaven's Halberd or just casual Sange and Yasha?
I would say definitely the Heaven's Halberd, and then probably into the Satanic after that. Should be his next two items here. Gonna be pretty good up against no one. You can expect that the BKB will be coming out shortly, though, for sure. So we'll see how that's gonna go for him. And the BKB is already up onto FN, as he's already used that 10-second charge, so not gonna be like the most effective Halberd, of course.
I mean, even if you're just forcing the BKB out, it's good, I think. Since Halberd can only be removed by that BKB if you force someone to use it maybe at an inopportune time, because they need to attack, or if you get it out early once it's down to 5 seconds. I still think it does good work. Oh, Zedoy, he's looking for someone. He wants to find the Wolfman, manages to throw out the life break, and the Wolf actually gets blocked in a little bit by his own creeps, but we are having a Winter's Curse, a nice vacuum back. The Shallow Grave gonna save up Von Skull for now, but it's looking bad for him as things progress. There's another dunk over onto the side. Tamed by Wild trying to do what he can. And they'll end up finding no one here. Still, the chase is on. Metrum wants someone, but again, we'll be in trouble here. We'll not be finding anything. And that is a full 5-man team wipe. All they got for it on Flipside was a tier 2.
Yeah, Meg is actually such a player. Coming in with that blink and that vacuum, with no vision on the Dire side, like that was all a fight where the Radiant knew everything. They had full sight as to what everything was going to be, like how things were going down. And again, definitely can't underrate Sioma in that fight too. The Darkseer and the Winter Wyvern is such a powerful combo. It used to be a big thing back before Wyvern got nerfed the first time, and when Winter's Curse was an even better ultimate, but the fact that you can vacuum people into that ultimate, like, after it's been laid down, is huge. There's not many things that really work like that. Like, Darkseer up against Clockwork used to be a classic in the same sense, too, where you'd pull the team, like, into their own cogs, and actually being able to abuse that it's just so huge. Like, everyone else is usually an offlaner, where you can actually stick these things together. You think of, like, Chronosphere, where you vacuum people into it. You just don't have these opportunities a lot of the time, and you can see how it just makes the value of the Winter's Curse so ridiculous. Doesn't matter if you hit everyone the first time.
We are going to see the net worth graph spike up in favor of Vega. It is just continuing to go all their way. And they don't even have, I mean, I don't feel like they even have the overwhelming items right now. It's just they take the team fights better. So much work being done here by Solo and the Wyvern, keeping people alive. That dual utility, doing too much work here.
Yeah, and FN's now working out into that big old Silver Edge up against the Huskar. Another little benefit to picking up this DK. Of course, they didn't necessarily know the Huskar was coming out when he got grabbed, but he is one of the rare, like, Shadow Blade heroes. The only other one that's really out there right now is, like, Slark, and sometimes when Doom gets farmed up enough and skips over that Blink Dagger instead, as people have been favoring that lately.
And it's a tough road for Flipside. What can they do here? They do have some decent high ground defense. They, of course, have an Alchemist who's now going to be working on a Solar Crest. They're pretty bombed there, but other than that, they're really lacking. And I'm just not sure what's the next items to make sure that this high ground defense goes their way.
Well, they're smoking up right now, and that was under a ward. So they should know that that's coming down here from the dire side. They can all just back themselves away, but it seems like they do need some sort of a pick. Shoshlo's far away from any sort of a Blink Dagger, unfortunately. Just picking up that Necro 3. But they need to pick onto someone and then turn that into a Roshan, get that on top of that Huskar, and then you don't have to rely on the Grave. And that might be enough to allow them to go high ground. It's scary, but picking up this medallion, they're showing that they're not going like Manta Octarine. They need to end this game on the earlier end while Huskar is still insanely powerful. So see if that smoke will be enough to accomplish that. Is okay, this smoke, oh, it breaks right into the ward, unfortunately.
Not going to be good enough. The Hawk does see... Oh gosh, they're just gonna kill the courier. Good job, well done. Killed that big old bounty. Now they're trying to get it going to Solo. A nice... Oh, the Ice Path hits onto Solo, so he's not gonna be able to tether away. DK is in the back lines. Io has immediately brought back Metrum. Blown up Bonsko looking to follow, and Sidoi, I'm not sure, can get away from the Wolfman. The auto attack's down. What started out as such a good engagement, killing that courier, killing the Io, just not enough.
Yeah, that was kind of awkward from Flipside, just like walking up in. I guess maybe they were assuming there was no vision or something, but they were fully aware from Vega that everything was coming down. There was no D-wards coming out from the Radiant side either, so... although, yeah, you have the Hawk vision, I don't know about just like walking up in here and trying to take a fight there, because you know what are the big things that are killing you. It's Vacuum Wall and it's Winter's Curse, and going into any sort of a confined area isn't going to favor you. That's why you start to look towards something like a pick-off in maybe one of the more open areas, like the jungle or something, to try and lead into that Roshan, because they certainly couldn't 5v5 in the Roche pit for all the exact same reasons, or else they would have just went into Roche. So I'm not so sure about like walking into this extremely confined space and picking a fight.
Perhaps feeling that their backs are up against the wall since they're, you know, over 10,000 gold behind, nearing that 20,000 experience mark. Obviously, if we take a look around, we can see that the some of the heroes on Flipside, really low levels, don't even have their level 2 ults. Like, this Dazzle has been level... Yeah, now is finally level 10, has a couple more points up in that Shallow Grave, but for quite a long while there was just rocking that level 8. You just can't get anything done with that.
Yeah, and that gold is really starting to add up. 8-0-8, 7-0-13 on our two big cores here on the side of Vega. They are just disgustingly rich. Like, that Silver Edge could come out at any moment here from FN if he thinks he even needs it. They've just been dealing with Huskar so much that it might not even be a requirement yet at this point. Like, if he wants to go for maybe a blink of his own, or just into a butterfly. FN Dota, alright. That's a new one. This is like when Tinies pick up the... well, actually, Butterfly's like better on Tiny. This is just overall kind of unique.
Okay, he just turns around, pops that BKB. They're gonna throw down the Ice Bolt. They even do the Life Break. Unfortunately, this BKB doing so much work. FN relocated out, and that was so many spells used on him for nothing. He's gonna come back in just fine. Meanwhile, the Doxia kills off the Alk. I'm guessing there was an Ion Shelled creep, because Doxia was nowhere near that engagement. Another Ice Pulse just trying to head them off, and no one is going to be there in that wolf form, smacking people around. Shocklow taking a lot of damage. They're going to kill off the Jakiro first. No one deciding against surging forwards. He does have that Aegis, so a little bit surprised he didn't just go for that. But with this could be the high ground push. No buyback on these heroes coming out of Flipside.
Oh, they're going to be so pleased when they start pushing this and realize the Ogmus isn't buying back.
Yeah, they have to know now.
5 seconds after Glyph.
They'll go for top as well. DK will work on the mid area. They've got the Lycan on the top. Sidoi looking for the Io, but he's not going to be able to get into range. And no one just making minced meat of this top lane. Middle being taken down by FN. And base is broken. Vega, they are seeing no one take quite a bit of damage. The Winter's Curse onto Sidoi, stopping him from attacking. Sioma still has that ice imprisonment, and we will see Sidoi going down. Doesn't even need the Cold Embrace. Shocklow now in trouble being chased by a wolf. Does manage to get the Primal Roar out onto no one again. Still does have that Aegis, so could just run back in. Has Io on the sidelines as well with a relocate up at the ready. And meanwhile, what is happening in the base? We got FN just chilling there. He's got BKB in a second. He went for an Ethereal Blade. It was not the item you expected. He pops the BKB for a TP. And maybe they'll catch out Mag. Yes, it's looking like it. Finally managed to get something now.
we're just going E-Blades, Dragonites now, you know. No big deal. This is like when Turtle Envy went E-Blade Gyro. But this is...
I feel like that's valid though, because Gyro has a
The
lot of
magic
magical damage. I'm not sold on this E-Blade Dragon Knight.
I mean, I can understand it. He's gonna get like halberded, and he's just like, all right, well then I'm just gonna E-Blade myself. and I'll just be fine in like my Ghost Scepter. Gives me a lot of attack speed. I think Butterfly is just better in a lot of ways. I don't think you can really debate that, but I mean that's overall as an item, but it's also, you know, a little bit more expensive too. It's not just 4,700 gold, so you're just picking this one up. He can move into something else instead and still get a lot of value out of the slot.
Oh, it's looking grim indeed for Flipside. They are now down 2 full lanes of racks, only got 1 left. They are looking for the kill onto FN. They will find it. That's something for them. That's pretty dang big. Probably 3,000 gold or something. Yeah.
I don't know if it'll be enough to change anything though. That's
Especially
the
since
real
he
question.
has buyback.
Look at those wards coming out. Gotta buy these things. Alright. What can we get here?
Okay, they're gonna work on the tower. They do, of course, have Beastmaster units, but one already immediately blown up. Tamed by Wild now coming in. Gonna start smacking on the racks, but they have to deal with no one. He is just ripping through Jakiro. He's just gonna send his units off to Jakiro. There's gonna be a nice shallow grave, but the cold embrace stops Tamed by Wild from attacking anyone. Dazzle's going to die now. Shocklow is going to fall as well. And that'll be that. We're gonna see Tamed by Wild go down here as well.
I didn't even look at the minimap, but they're all there without Sadoi. That is really odd. Like, that looked like a GG push. I mean, when are you ever going to get these 2 lanes this close ever again?
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
You're missing top and bottom, or top and mid racks. Very surprised Sadoi wasn't there for that one, that they would commit that deep without him.
Maybe a little miscommunication there, or maybe some frustration with the state of the game. The final push, potentially, unless Flipside does something here. They do have buyback on 2 heroes. We could see it come out of the Alk, we could see it come out of the Beastmaster, whose ult is at the ready. But looking like instead, Sadoi pushing around on that top lane. Here are the buybacks coming out of Alchemist. Lycan's gonna back out. They need some sort of catch. Sadoi is here. He needs to be able to get the life break. They catch him on the edge there. There's the life break coming out. The cold embrace is at the ready, and the Wolfman, he has ultimated, getting ready to come back in. No one, just running away out of the acid spray. Creep starting to come in on that mid lane. The illusions for Tamed by Wild being a bit of a pain. Like there'll be no follow-up.
Well, Tamed by Wild's trying something here, but he might just end up with a self-stun.
It's a... Oh gosh, DK. FN's thinking about it. He's gonna kill that crow hawk thing. And I wouldn't be surprised if FN maybe tries to give it a go on someone. Does have a lot of damage here. Gonna manage to get rid of some vision.
And the Abyssal Blade as well, because they were a little bit short on the lockdown when it came to like being able to actually damage them versus the Winter's Curse. So I like this out from no one. Try and finish off that Huskar once it gets nice and low if the Winter's Curse can't quite do it.
Oh, Primal Roar onto Mag. He's taking a lot of damage and they will bring him down. That's an immediate buyback. They apparently want to end this game, Vega. I'm a little bit surprised at that buyback.
I think it is just like, let's just get this over with. It's 1 Rax left. It does open up that possibility, you know, he dies, everyone else gets wiped, you know, you have no Darks here and it's a 5v4 coming in. But clearly Vega are feeling confident.
Also really important to mention that whoever wins this goes straight into the next series up against Empire. So
yeah.
There is no break here. They managed to get the stun onto Sadoi. He's taking quite a bit of damage. There should be a shallow grave ready. Hasn't needed to use it yet, but their rack's getting low. A nice Winter's Curse. They're going to pick up Fawn's Core. Vacuum back. The DK on top of them. They've lost the Dazzle. There's no hope here for Sadoi. He's going to get stunned up, brought down. There is glyphs. There are 2 buybacks, but I'm not sure there's much that they can do here on Flipside. Ice Path manages to come out, but a stun again onto Fawn's Core. He melts. Now Sadoi jumping in, trying to kill off Solo. Doesn't have it. GG's are cold, and it will be Vega advancing up to play up against Empire.
Yeah. Overall, I think they just showed the superior gameplay today. Just like throughout, like total map movements and everything, especially game number 2, unbelievably dominant over top of that Alchemist. Game number 3, maybe playing it a bit safer, perhaps, and just not diving in as deep that early onto the game. But they took still an early lead. I think they drafted the right heroes right at the end there with the Winter Wyvern to help deal with this Huskar, and then they itemized correctly for it as well. So Mag, huge game coming out of that jungle. It can be very hard as a Darkseer because you really are so reliant on trying to slow down that carry. That's a big part of being this hero. And how you progress into like that mid game. You can imagine like versus your Spectres and everything where you're trying to establish some control over their farm and limit that down. And without that against a Huskar, you kind of lose a lot of your own value allowing those supports to roam so freely. But the top lane did their job, made sure that Beastmaster didn't get out of control, and same thing with FN in the mid lane too. So overall, I'm very impressed. Shout out to Flipside for doing their best here, but Vega Squadron deserved it today and get to move on forward.
Yeah, but they have a hard series up ahead of them. Have to face up against Empire, another team who has been putting out better results than Vega, so we'll see how it goes. Once again, I'm Llama Down Under. I've been joined by MotPax. You can find us by those names on Twitter. I'd love any and all feedback on how to get better. As you saw, MotPax 6 for 6 in the draft. There'll probably be a short break just because these players are coming off a set and going into the next one, but we'll try to get you into that lobby right quick. I'll see you all again shortly.